Sharks never stop swimming. Sharks never go backwards, or they die. A suckerfish's job is to go for a free ride with the suckerfish, with the shark. But the suckerfish's job is to clean parasites off the shark. And the benefit of a suckerfish, that it gets to eat the scraps that the shark creates because they never stop swimming, which means they never stop hunting. So a suckerfish benefits from a shark, and they go for a free ride through the ocean. And their job is to make sure that they clean the parasites off the shark's skin.
Are you thinking like a shark, or are you living like something that survives off scraps? Because in this world, there are only three types of people: sharks, suckerfish, and parasites. Sharks move forward or they die. Suckerfish attach themselves to others and live off momentum they didn't create. Parasites drain, complain, consume, and destroy everything around them, while contributing nothing. The tragedy is that most people don't even know which one they are. They call it waiting. They call it being realistic. They call it playing it safe. But in reality, they've chosen comfort over movement, and comfort is death in slow motion. A shark mindset is not about aggression for the sake of aggression. It's about understanding a brutal law of life. If you stop moving, you start sinking. Sharks don't ask for permission. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't apologize for hunger. They adapt, they hunt, they adjust, and they keep moving forward. That's why sharks survive in environments that would destroy weaker creatures. Motion is survival. Stagnation is extinction. Most people hate this truth because it exposes them. They want success without pressure, growth without discomfort, rewards without risk. But the ocean doesn't care what you want. The marketplace doesn't care what you feel. Life doesn't care about your excuses. Either you evolve, or you get eaten by those who do. And the ones who complain the loudest are usually the ones who refuse to move when it mattered most.
For those of us climbing to the top of the food chain, there can be no mercy. There is but one rule: hunt or be hunted.
Frank Underwood's words hit because they're uncomfortable. Hunt or be hunted. There is no neutral ground. If you are not intentional, someone else will be. If you are not building, someone else is replacing you. If you are not sharpening your skills, someone else is sharpening theirs, and they will take your place without hesitation. Sharks don't hate the weak. They don't envy the strong. They simply move according to instinct and necessity. That's the mindset most people lack: clarity without emotion. A shark mindset means you stop living reactively. You stop drifting. You stop attaching your survival to other people's approval, systems, or sympathy. You take responsibility for movement. You embrace pressure as fuel. You accept that hunger is not a flaw. It's a signal that you are alive.
You know what's the number one way you measure somebody that's hungry? Very simple. Their sense of urgency. That's simple. Let me explain to you why. So people say, wow, you have no idea how hungry I am. Really? Yeah. What'd you do about it today? Oh, not today, but tomorrow I'm gonna. You ain't hungry, man. You just think you're hungry. You are not hungry. You may be hungry to go eat lunch. You may be hungry to go have dinner. Fine, I'll give that to you. You ain't hungry to compete in the marketplace.
Hungry people don't need motivation. Hunger creates discipline. Hunger creates focus. Hunger creates urgency. And urgency is what separates sharks from everything else in the water. When you're hungry, you don't wait. You don't negotiate with fear. You move. The reason most people never develop a shark mindset is simple. They want comfort more than they want control. They want safety more than they want strength. They want certainty more than they want progress. A shark mindset demands the opposite. It demands that you live without guarantees, without applause, without reassurance. It demands that you move first and figure things out later. And that level of responsibility terrifies people who have built their identity around being protected rather than being capable. Weak minds hate pressure. They call it stress. They call it burnout. They call it unfair. But pressure is not the enemy. Pressure is the test. Pressure reveals who can think clearly when the water gets rough and who panics the moment conditions change. Sharks don't panic. They adjust. They don't waste energy blaming the ocean. They adapt to it. and that's why they dominate environments that crush everything else. Hunger is the foundation of the shark mindset. Not fake hunger, not motivational hunger, real hunger, the kind that forces you to act when you're tired, when you're uncomfortable, when you're unsure. Hungry people don't wait to feel confident. Confidence comes after movement, not before it. Hungry people don't overthink. Overthinking is a luxury for those who aren't in survival mode. When you're truly hungry, decisions get sharper, priorities get clearer, and excuses disappear. Most people drown because they hesitate. They hesitate to commit. They hesitate to risk. They hesitate to cut off what's slowing them down. They hesitate to leave environments that no longer serve them. Sharks don't hesitate. Hesitation in the ocean is fatal. In life, it's just slower, but the result is the same. You get passed. You get replaced. You get forgotten. A shark mindset is ruthless about direction. It understands that drifting feels peaceful, but it leads nowhere. It understands that attachment to comfort makes you predictable, and predictable people are easy to outmaneuver. Sharks don't chase everything. They move with intent. They conserve energy. They strike with precision. That's the level of discipline most people never reach, because it requires sacrifice, focus, and the willingness to disappoint others. The truth is uncomfortable. If you are not intentionally hunting growth, someone else is hunting opportunity in your place. If you are not sharpening your skills, someone else is becoming more dangerous in the same space. The ocean does not pause. The market does not wait. Time does not care. A shark mindset is dangerous because it removes one habit that keeps most people weak: the need to explain themselves. Sharks do not justify why they move. They do not seek approval before they change direction. They do not wait for consensus. They understand something most people never accept. Explanations are a form of permission seeking, and permission seeking kills momentum. The moment you feel the need to explain your ambition, your discipline, or your decisions, you've already given power away. Most people live defensively. They shape their actions around how they'll be perceived. They hesitate because they don't want to be judged. They slow down because they don't want to be misunderstood. They shrink because they don't want to offend. Sharks don't live like that. Sharks live offensively. They move toward opportunity, not away from criticism. They understand that judgment is irrelevant when results start speaking. Nobody questions the shark once it dominates the water. Hungry entrepreneurs understand this instinctively. Hunger strips away ego. Hunger strips away excuses. Hunger forces clarity. When you're hungry, you stop romanticizing comfort. You stop protecting your image. You stop negotiating with fear. You do what needs to be done because survival demands it. This is why hunger is dangerous. It creates people who are immune to distraction and resistant to pressure. A shark mindset also means accepting isolation. Sharks don't swim in crowds. They don't need validation from the school. They operate independently, confident in their ability to survive alone if necessary. Most people fear isolation because isolation forces self-reliance, and self-reliance removes excuses. When there's no one to blame, no one to lean on, no one to save you, you either evolve or collapse. Sharks evolve. This mindset makes people uncomfortable because it exposes dependency. It exposes people who rely on systems, safety nets, titles, or approval to feel secure. Sharks don't rely on any of that. They rely on adaptability, skill, and forward motion. When one environment no longer feeds them, they move. When one strategy stops working, they adjust. They don't complain about the ocean, they learn how to dominate it. The shark mindset is not loud. It's not emotional. It's not dramatic. It's cold, focused, and efficient. It removes excess. It removes excuses. It removes hesitation. And once that happens, growth becomes inevitable. A shark mindset is not a phase. It is not motivation. It is not something you turn on when life is convenient and turn off when it becomes uncomfortable. It is a permanent decision about how you will exist in a world that does not slow down for anyone. Sharks do not complain about the ocean. They do not wish it were calmer. They do not ask for fairness. They adapt, they move, and they survive. That is the standard. Everything else is a story people tell themselves to justify stagnation. The moment you adopt a shark mindset, excuses lose their power. You stop blaming circumstances, you stop blaming people, you stop blaming timing. You understand that waiting is a choice, hesitation is a choice, and comfort is a choice, and every choice has consequences. Sharks accept responsibility because responsibility creates control. Control creates leverage, and leverage creates freedom. This mindset forces you to grow teeth, not emotionally, strategically, mentally. You become sharper with your time, ruthless with your focus, selective with your energy. You stop swimming in circles. You stop chasing validation. You stop attaching your survival to systems, titles, or other people's approval. You become self-directed, self-reliant, and impossible to ignore. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they refuse to evolve. They want to stay the same person while expecting a different outcome. Sharks don't make that mistake. When the environment changes, they change. When the rules shift, they adjust. When hunger returns, they move faster. Evolution is not optional. It is required. This is the final truth. You are either moving forward or you are falling behind. There is no neutral water. There is no safe drifting. So decide who you are. A shark that moves with intent, or something else that waits to be eaten.